Hi everyone, today we're going to do a tutorial with SnapLens. So you should have already downloaded it and Snap Camera, and go to your applications and open the Lens Studio application. And once it's open, it will take you to the home screen, and here we have a lot of things that we can do. So it gives us some templates. There's a lot of different templates that show examples of how to do things. So those are really helpful to look at what they've provided for examples, and you can look at them and see the different kinds of things that you can do. And here's the documentation, which will go to the website and will bring up some explanations for different things. While you're working, if you want to try out different things, you can go to the documentation. And here we can start a new project. So go to New Project, and it will open up. By default, it should open up, I think, with an image here of someone. And you can change the view here for the lens to be on you if you have a webcam. And up here, you can swap it if you're creating a filter for the other camera, the outward facing camera on the phone. But we're going to work with the selfie facing camera. If you don't have a webcam, then you can still work on a lens by using the provided photo here. And so this is the preview screen. Over here on the left, well, first I'm going to save my project. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I will call it, my name, Yvette Granada Lens 1. And I'm going to save it on my desktop. And when I do that, it saves the whole project for me. So here it is, it puts it into a folder and it automatically creates these files. So here's the project file and different project data. So it will create a folder. That's what it looks like on your desktop. And okay, so now over here on the left-hand side, we have the project panel. And I'll turn on my video. It automatically gives us lighting and a light and an environment map and a camera. So you should have these two things up here. The lighting, these little arrows you can bring down to show what it is. And up here we can switch to the scene view and see what that is. So here's the lights that it gives us already. If I click on this little box, it will take them away. And the camera, which we need, is here. So we have that. Down here we have our resources panel, and these are all the things that we're going to use to build out our lens, and we can add in images and different things here. And then over here we have the inspector panel, which tells us different information about these elements, which we use to build our project. And then down here we have a logger panel, which will show different things in the log. So if an error happens or anything, you'll get a logger message here. So now if you go to the assets for the tutorial, you should have downloaded this folder, and bring in, hold Shift and select these images and bring them in and drag them down into this panel here. They will automatically load here. And then if you bring in your GIF from last week, you can just drag and drop that here, and it will automatically load that. And I like to keep my project organized. So I am going to right click and put add new and create a new folder. And I am going to rename, right click and click rename and call this folder lens assets. And I'll take those images that I just dragged in here and I'm going to drop them into that folder. So that's where, actually, I'm going to rename this to my lens assets. And these are all of the assets that I brought in to work with. And these are all things that I already prepared in Photoshop. So I had cut out these and made transparent backgrounds for my lens that I am going to be creating. So these are already prepared assets. So if you were creating this from scratch, you would create your assets first and upload them as, save them as PNGs. And we're gonna do a face filter first. So if you go up under this heading here that says objects and you click on the plus sign, the general tab will have kind of everything underneath it, or if you know what you're looking for specifically, you know, it has these broken out into special categories. So I'm going to go to face effects, but if I go under general, I can also scroll down and the face effects are here. And the first thing I am going to put in here is where is the face? Mask, there it is. Okay, so first thing I'm going to put in there is the face mask. And I have this sunlight in my face, sorry. And so now this face mask maps to my face, as you can see, as I move around, it is moving around with me. And the way that this works is here is this kind of grid that is a face. If I select all of these, I can move the face mask to fit the image differently. So it's not really fitting my face exactly. So I can move this around to fit on my face better, where the eye opening is. So I selected all of those. I just held, I clicked and held and then dragged this over to select the whole face. I could also just select an eye and then grab and move an eye. And right now it's in symmetrical mode. So it's grabbing whatever I grab on one side, symmetrically grabbing on the other side. And that is down here is symmetrical mode. I can click that and turn that off. And now I can just move one eye if I wanted to. And you can see this image is, this colorful image here is actually underneath the face mask that I'm moving around. So it's a little counterintuitive because normally like in Photoshop, we would move the image to fit. But what we're doing is the image is staying still and I'm moving how it maps onto my face when I move these points. So I'm gonna re-click the symmetrical mode. So when I click these forehead points and I bring them down, you can see how it's here. It's not as apparent because there's an opacity. So see how as it gets towards the edge of my face, it becomes less opaque. That's because there's a opacity on here to blend it in. But if I put no opacity, then those edges are really popping out. So I'm going to turn off that opacity so you can see. So if I grab this forehead and I pull this down, it actually pulls the image up, because what I'm moving is that forehead point to the image. So it's a little bit, it takes a little bit to get used to, because you're not moving the image down on the forehead. You're moving the forehead mapping point down on the image, which actually moves it the opposite direction. So I could shrink this all down. If I select all of it and drag this corner, you'll be able to see it better. So now I have this little mapping face, which I can put here, and just this part of the image is going to map to my face. So it's moving the face image around onto this, or the face mask tracking onto the image. So it takes a bit of time to get used to this sort of backwards way to think of putting, you know, an image onto a face. And I'm gonna line it up a little bit. But this is the default image that it comes with. So I'm gonna change that. And here is where we change it. So when you click on the bar here, that's selected, and that's what brings this inspector panel up. And the texture is the default, and that's this colorful texture. But I'm gonna go over to my textures here. I'm looking now. I'm going to use this one that's just called Gear Crown. And see, now that I've clicked down here, it's unclicked over here. So I have to re-click up here. And without clicking over here, I'm going to click and hold, and then drag this over here to the texture. And it's going to change that. So I'll Command Z and do this another way. The other thing I can do is I can click on this, and it will let me select from the list here, and I'll click the gear crown and hit OK. So now I have this image, which I want to kind of map onto my face. And I'm going to grab this. Oh, I want to get that whole thing. I'm zooming out. I have a scroll bar to zoom out. If I hit the left and right arrow keys up and down, I can realign this. I'm going to select that whole thing and kind of move this around until it kind of fits on my eyeballs a little bit. It's not really perfect there. It's sitting on my eyeballs. This might be something that doesn't fit on your face, and you'll have to kind of move these around a little bit until you get some or one of the little gear holes to line up with your eyeballs, or don't worry about lining up the eyeballs right now, but just kind of get used to this idea that I'm mapping the face map to the image here. And this is where, you know, I have prepared this image so that it kind of looks like 3D. It sort of helps if I wanted to make this a little bit bigger, because it's hard to map to my eyeballs, then I am going to, you know, stretch it by making this face mask smaller and putting it in here. I can map it, and I don't have to worry about if I have the opacity, because, you know, when I don't have the opacity there on the edge looks a little bit weird, and I just really want it to blend. So I can turn that on. It gives me a little bit of leeway with sort of stretching things out in a weird way. So now I have this on my face, and it's mapped to my face. So that is the face mask 1, and I'm going to rename it to eye mask so that I kind of remember what it is later. And now I'm going to go up to objects again, and I am going to add a face image. So here now, instead of a face mask, which maps to my actual face, this is an image that I'm just going to add on top. So I'm going to change the texture to my image. I'm going to do the same one though and hit OK. Now here it is, it's really small. So this one I can do more similar to Photoshop, where I'm just putting it on top and it creates a head binding. So it's binding to my head. So when I move my head, it moves, but it doesn't map to my face. And I created this kind of thing as a sort of crown. I was making this for an auto show kind of face filter a couple of years ago. So that's what this is. And I wanted it to stick out. So you can see the difference between the head binding and the face. Oh, that's the effects. The face, if I don't have the face, this is just attached to my head. I put it up at the top. I could put it anywhere. This one's a lot easier to move around. I could also line this up with my eyes. And, you know, this is something I kind of prepared ahead of time. I knew if I had something with holes in it, I could kind of line it up with different facial features in different ways. But this one, I would just stretch it out. It's a little bit easier to line up this way because it's just flat and stuck to my face. The image that I did, though, it has some, it's actually a 2D image of 3D model. So it looks like it has some depth to it. If you just did a flat image, it would look a little bit different. But okay, I'm going to put that back up at the top and put this eye mask back on. So this is my crown and my eye mask. I'm going to rename this as crown so that I can remember it. I'm bringing that down a little bit, move it around. Okay, so I kind of wanted it to look like it was sort of attached and this sort of mask that is coming from my face, and, you know, like a kind of elaborate mask with a gear crown. Okay, so I can then also add in another mask. So this one was the eye mask. If I go back up to face mask and add another one, I can do another one. And again, here's the defaults. And I wanted to add in something to the mouth. So I have this mouth image here. Here, I'm going to go up and rename this gear mouth. So I know it's what. And over here in my texture, I'm going to replace that with this image that is named mouth. And then hit OK. And so now it's just here mapped on my face. So I have to move it. If you're trying to figure out how to zoom, if you don't have a mouse with a rolly, because I'm zooming with a rolly, and then I'm using the arrows here, you can also just use this to zoom in and zoom out. Okay, so I want this to be on my mouth. So I have to move the mouth to the image rather than the other way around. So I'm moving that mouth. And I want this, I don't want to get the edge of the nose is here. I'm going to move the mouth, actually move the whole sort of at bottom of my face. And I'm going to make it bigger and stretch it out so that the gears are just around my mouth. And I'm kind of moving this to a certain location. Oops. So it takes a bit of time to get used to moving the face mask to fit the image. And I actually, well, it helps to use this symmetrical kind of property here. There we go. I don't want this so close to the okay, well, I would work with this a little bit more, but I don't want to take up too much time. So I would work with this so that it kind of goes around my mouth a little bit better than it is right now. Maybe just take a couple more seconds here. Okay. Oh, I don't have the symmetrical selected. All right, now it's all. And I'm going to move the whole thing out. Okay, well, it's fine. So that's something I would work with a little bit more. Oh, sorry, it's just bothering me. I have to move it a little bit. Okay. Being a perfectionist for the tutorial. Okay, so that's a little bit better. So now I have a face mask on my mouth and on my eyes. And I could have made that all one step, but I didn't know yet. So I had created separate assets. I didn't know yet if I wanted to do the mouth or not. So I have separate assets, one for my mouth and one for my eyes. If I knew ahead of time that I wanted to have all of it, I could have made, and I did here, made another option where I could have just put this one as the texture and not have to do both. But that was something I went back and did after I had already played around in the SnapLens. So it's good to just create separate assets because you can always add in things later. So I have mouth and face, and then the gear crown. And now there's a lot of different things that I can do. So if I go up to objects, click the little plus sign, and I can add in a face inset. When I click on this, it's going to automatically give me a face inset binding and a face inset one. And over here, it lets me pick an option. So I have mouth is here already selected. So it's taking the camera source of my mouth and creating a new object with the mouth. And you can see it over here is this extra mouth. And I can grab that and move it around. So I can add another mouth, you know, anywhere on here. I could put it up here. But I'm going to put it on top of my mouth because I'm creating a second mouth. I could change this to an eyeball. So I could put an eyeball. I could use my own face as the material for the face mask, which when whoever is wearing it will put their eyeball in their mouth. So I can do left eye, right eye, I can do, you know, nose, and I can do my whole face again. I'm going to do my mouth. And so I have this gear mouth and this face inset. I'm going to pull the gear mouth below this so that the face, whoops, what did I just do? Whatever is at the bottom here is on top, the layer on top. So it's the opposite of Photoshop. In Photoshop, whatever layer is on top is the image on top. In SnapLens, whatever's at the bottom is the top layer. So I'll show you again. If I move this gear mouth and I drag it above here, it's the new mouth. The gear mouth is behind this new mouth, which is here. And I'm going to close that so I don't want that to be in there. So I'm going to bring this back and have it below. Make sure it's not inside. You can actually accidentally put it inside of that, but I am going to have it be on the outside of that. So drag it out. You see that line in between. So now it's not inside of this. It's just under the effects. So all of these should be under effects. It shouldn't be under, it shouldn't be between lighting and camera. It should be under effects. So don't drag it out too far. You could drag it out too far and go all the way over here. But then that's not where I want it. I want it here in my effects. Okay. So I have this. So I want to reset my preview. I don't know where it went. It disappeared. Oh, there it is. Okay, I don't know. It went away for a second. So I have this mouth. Oops. Right, so I'm moving this and I'm just going to line it up. And I just want to show you that you can have this kind of a lot of different things as your texture. It doesn't have to be the images only. You can also add in these things like the face inserts, and that is using this device camera as the texture. But I'm also going to add in an effect here. And so what I'm going to do is go to the face inset and go up to the objects plus sign, and now enter in, go over to general and scroll down to where it says helper scripts. And then over to the right, behavior. So you should have this little thing under the face inset that says behavior. And if you click on that, over here, there is different behaviors that we can do for the mouth. And I'm going to go over to this trigger and click on face event. And then under event type, I can select different kinds of events, face events. So I'm going to do mouth opened. And the face index is because I have one face. So if you, we'll look at that later when you have more than one, a filter for more than one face, there will be a face index. So 0 is the first face, and then if I do a second face, it'll be 1, and then if I do a third face, it'll be 2. But So you just leave that at 0. And now I pick what I want for the response. There's also this option, I can have it be a one-time event or after an interval of time. I'm going to keep it at always. And the response type, I am going to do set texture. And the target is going to be my gear mouth. So if I go down here, I'm going to select the gear mouth and hit OK. And then the new texture, I'm going to add my GIF. Oh, I see. Okay, so let's try this again. Huh. I'm going to want to move this so that it really is. Let's turn off this. Okay. Well, I mapped it badly, but it should just be on my mouth. I got this all messed up here. Let me try. There we go. Okay. So if I had spent more time to map it just on my mouth, I wouldn't have this sort of issue around all of my face because I just want it to be, now it's got like weird vampire teeth. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it. But if I had done a better job with mapping this on my mouth in a way, or I could even, here, let's see if I move this a little bit. It's replacing that image, original image that I put with this other image with my GIF when I open up my mouth. Okay, I don't want to do that. And I've just really, all right, let's see if I can move this. You can go to the transforms to move instead of dragging. And so the XYZ is the position, or there's position, XYZ, rotation, and scale. And instead of dragging, I go on this sometimes. So you can use this to change the way that something works. So that's the scale on the mouth. And I'm going to go here. See if I move this. Okay. Okay, there we go. There, it's getting better. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, I'm messing with this a little bit, too much. But so you get the idea. I'm going to make it so that the mouth, when I open it, is going to change from the one to the other. But I also want to add in another one. So I'm going to go here back to objects and add in another helper script. Under general, helper script, and add a behavior. And now I'm going to do face event again, and I will do mouth closed and always, and then response to also set texture. And my target is gear mouth face mask and hit OK. And my texture when I close my mouth is going to be the gear again. So now when I open and close my mouth, it's going to go in between the two. Usually I'm much better with this mouth lining up, but it's good to see. It takes a minute to play around with these kinds of things. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with this, with the behavior, events, and you can change things based on, different kinds of face events. So there's also like eyebrows raised, finding a face or smiling and things like that. So you can play around with that and try to trigger different things. And we're going to look at some of the animation next time, but we did an animated GIF the last time, which I used already in the mouth, but I'm going to add in now a face mesh. So a face mesh is different than a face mask. So I'm going to add in a face mesh. And the face mesh is a 3D object that is mapped all the way around the face. And it's a little bit different than the 2D image on the face mask. So I'm going to take this face mesh and instead of adding a texture, I'm going to create a material. So right now it has the default material. There are different materials that it comes with, that SnapLens comes with. So I just changed the material to glass. And if I go to that material, so that showed up down here. These are my materials that I work with. Material is a specific kind of texture for 3D models. And we can change this. I can change what it is. So this is the default. So maybe I like this and I want to keep the standard glass. I'm going to go over here, right click and hit duplicate. And now I'm going to rename this as my GIF texture. I'll just call it GIF texture. And so I've made a copy of my material, and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to change this to GIF texture and hit OK. And so now when I go to the GIF texture, I can also edit this texture and it will automatically apply to my face mesh. So I can take this opacity texture and go to my assets. And let's see what happens when I add my GIF here. So now it's using the opacity of the GIF as part of the opacity texture. I could take that. Oops, what did I do? I could take that and also I think if I add it here, let's see what happens if I add it here. Oops. Okay, camera reflections. Okay, so I can change a lot of different things here. And I'm editing the material. I can then add this material to any 3D object that I want. I'm not finding the texture that I want it to do. Oh, here we go. I can change the color here. So I could do this. Oops, I didn't save that. Okay, so I applied this and you can see it down here. Here's a preview of the texture. And the animation is coming from my GIF. So I don't have to do all the animation in something else or in SnapLens. So sometimes I like to use Photoshop to create animation so that for me, it's faster sometimes to do that. But now if I take off the face mesh, you can see that I'm using the GIF in 2 different ways here. I could also, if I don't want to use the face mesh, I could also, if I unclick it here, it will take it away. I can also use the GIF as part of the mask. So if I go up here and I add in a new face mask, I can take my animated GIF image and put it here as the texture. Oops. And then I line this up with my face. And I could change the blend mode so that it's similar to Photoshop, the different layer modes, and kind of get like a bunch of neat effects with that. And I could move where it is. So right now it's on the top. I could put it so that the face mesh is in the front. And so that was that. Subtract, hue. I kind of liked it in the front. Put it back in the front. Okay. Screen. And I could also just use this as a part of the face. So I have it right now mapped on the whole face, but if I take this and wait, now do the opposite. See, it's so confusing. You have to do the opposite. I could map this just onto the eyeballs. And kind of do this. I have 2 animated GIFs on my face right now, so it's a little bit busy. I probably wouldn't do all of these. Let's see. That is the this is why I label it. So I'm going to put I'm going to rename this so that I can I'm going to do glass face, so I know what that is. Okay, so that's this. Yeah, so if I take that off, you can see now. So I just have the animated GIF as a part of my face. And on the face mask here, so we're on this face mesh. I can also go back to this other texture. I have to go back to the face mask, glass face mesh. Let's go back, drag this material here. So it's just the glass. And I can kind of play around here and see what comes with. Okay, see what comes with SnapLens. Oh, here. Add a new material. So it's called material when you add it to the 3D object. Remember that. And the texture is any kind, can be added to any image object. Matte shadow gold. Let's try that. And let's look at the gold. So there's a kind of reflection in. Oh, my screen is frozen. What happened to this project? Okay, I'm just gonna pause it for a second. Okay, sorry, there was a little bit of a glitch there. I had to restart my Lens Studio project. And so I was just showing that you can add in some materials. There's this gold material that comes with SnapLens. You can create your own materials, add different textures and even a GIF as a texture. So try out different things. I'm just going to move this. I want my eye mask in the front of this. Let's see, and the crown in the front. Kind of got to get used to moving these things around. Yeah, and I'll put this face mask up here. Oh, and my mouth effect has to go in the front in order to see it. Okay. So there we go. Not perfect, not exactly what I was trying to get it to look like in the end, but you get the idea. You can change effects based on movements and do a lot of different things. A lot of the asset preparation happens in Photoshop, so make sure that you have access to the tutorials material that you've been working on for the last couple of weeks. You can use anything from that for working on your assignment this week. And your assignment is to just work through this tutorial, and at the end of it, take a screenshot using your own GIF as part of your material for your face demo. And you can add in different things. You can include the assets from the tutorial if you want or not, or change it up. But at the end, take a screenshot of your demo here. And if you go down to the bottom here, you can see that there's different screens that you can put in as the XI screen. You can also get rid of this Snapchat user interface that's down here. It says, no Snapchat user interface, all these different things. So I just want none. And you can change the phone size. You can also take a screenshot right from here. So you can do this and it will save it as, you know, you can save your last name and your first name and then lens and save. And it will save the image in your project. You can also do video from here, which we will do later. It's recording right now, but for this week, you can just do a screenshot of your filter. I'm not going to save that video. And then you can also, interesting or fun thing to do is, you know, for creating videos, you don't have to keep it in the portrait mode. You can also change it to that landscape. Yes, so simulation. There we go. So you can kind of use this for creating demos without ever even sending it to your phone. Okay, work through the steps and let me know if you have any questions, and don't worry too much about how it's going to look in the end. This is to get used to how this all operates, and as we move forward on working with SnapLens in the next couple of weeks, then we'll really dig into making it look how we want it to look. So good luck and see you soon. Bye.